Rashad Evans returns to the octagon after a 2-year layoff. He's minus 160 over Ryan Bader on the main card of UFC 192, and we are going to analyze these betting odds with Nick Kalikas from MMAOddsbreaker.com and also Mike James from MMAOddsbreaker Premium. All right, Mike James, from my perspective, this is a complete pass. What are you going to get with Evans? I mean, even before the injury, Evans was a little bit unpredictable. Now, he's been off for 2 years, coming back off of the surgery. If he shines, if he's brilliant, that wouldn't be a shock. If he's completely slow and old and lackluster, that wouldn't be a shock either. What do you think is more likely, and do you think this fight's worth a bet?
If this was 2 years ago, I'd be 100% confident Rashad Evans would have no trouble with Ryan Bader. He's better than Bader in every single facet of the game, in my opinion. But like you said, 2 surgeries, 2-year layoff, 35 years old now. You don't know what you're going to get from him. Minus 160, I wouldn't touch. Rashad, if he does look like himself, if he is, even close to his former himself, I do think he'll be able to beat Bader. He's the faster hands. He's actually much quicker than Bader. He's a better MMA wrestling, in my opinion, better top control, better submission game. He also has knockout power, as does Bader, but Bader's, slow, he's stiff, he's kind of robotic in there. I do give the advantage to Evans, but like you said, we just don't know what we're going to get. 2-year layoff, multiple surgeries. I would just completely pass, like you said.
Nick Kalikas, I could certainly see the public, talking themselves into betting Evans at just minus 160. But my guess is, with all the uncertainty surrounding this fight, maybe the betting volume is a little bit lower than you might normally expect from a fight like this.
Well, opener was actually minus 245 for Rashad, so they did bet it down quite a bit. It's been out for a while, so yeah, they have bet it down for a while. And again, Bader's another tough guy to kind of get a feel for as far as the betting window goes. Now, there's been a lot of people, like Mike mentioned in the previous fight, that they actually made a case for Bader to fight against Cormier. I know that fight before the title situation happened and with the Jones situation happening where the UFC stripped him for the title, they were supposed to be lined up, and then of course Bader got thrown out of the equation when Cormier got the title shot against Johnson or whatnot, and all that stuff played out. So a lot of people were screaming they like to see Bader for that fight. So man, how much respect Bader has really received recently. He's had a couple quality wins. His win against OSP showed a lot of toughness and grit for sure, because Ovince St. Preux, as we all know, is a very tough fighter to especially to get down and control on the ground like Bader did. Obviously, Glover has fought him since then and beat him as well. But on the feet, he's a dangerous guy, and Bader fought a tremendously smart fight and was able to get the job done against him as well. And then of course that Phil Davis win, I think, put him over the top in a lot of people's minds as well. That was a good quality win for him. It was a competitive fight, but still it was a good win. So those wins alone, I think, prove to a lot of people that Bader is improving overall. So historically, if you look against the top tier guys, Bader wasn't getting that much respect against, some of the guys like maybe John Jones, or typically in other spots, even like Rampage Jackson back in the day, which he did get a win over. But let's face it, Rampage isn't really quite the same fighter he was back then. So the respect factor for Bader is what's hard to gauge here. And with Rashad, he's always had that respect. And we were just talking about who the number 2 guy is outside of John Jones when he was in the picture. Well, for a while there, it was Rashad Evans before the injuries, before the time off and all that stuff. Look what he did to Phil Davis. That's the mutual opponent that they have in common. And Phil Davis was just ridiculously dominated by Rashad Evans. In every aspect of the game. Whereas honestly, Ryan Bader struggled in that fight. He won that fight, but he obviously was competitive coin flip type of decision. So I think that Rashad does have several advantages, as Mike pointed out. He's got the speed. He's got great wrestling to counteract Bader's wrestling as well. But I agree with you guys. I opened a little bit too high. I think there is more value probably on Bader than there is Rashad Evans. But where it's at now, it's kind of tough either way, because I don't really have the confidence in Rashad with the time off. And the years are going by. The guy's been through a lot of wars as well. I think Bader is the fresher fighter, but how could you have a ton of confidence his way? He has somewhat of a suspect chin as well. And then Rashad is the more skilled fighter. So tough fight, honestly, across the board here.
All right, interesting fight. Mike James, before we wrap this up, just give us a pick on this fight. If you had to make a bet, what would it be, Bader and Evans?
Well, if I had to, I would pass, but if I had to pick, I would pick Rashad, just because I think he's better at every single facet of the game. Like I say, he's quicker, better striker, better MMA wrestling, better top control. But that was 2 years ago, so we just don't know. So but like I said, if this was 2 years ago, I'd be on Rashad heavy. but it's not 2 years ago, so I don't know. So I'm just going to pass here.
All right. Interesting thoughts, guys. Thanks.